Good afternoon. Happy New Year. Keith Tebow from FRCmedia. Our first little mini interview of 2021. I hope you all had a fantastic holiday season. We are back at it, and a lot of the issues we've been facing from 2020 has carried over into 2021. Of course, we're going to continue to talk more about the COVID-19 pandemic and how it's impacting our communities. And we've talked with these two gentlemen quite a bit over the past year. It's our friends at the One SouthCoast Chamber, our co-CEOs, Michael O'Sullivan and Rick Kidder. Gentlemen, Happy New Year and welcome back. How are you?
Happy New Year, Keith. It's nice to see you.
Happy New Year, Keith. It's very good to see you, and I'm really happy that we're able to be your number one show of the year.
Yeah, we're actually your number one interview of the year. So
All right.
that's great. Yeah, I mean, hopefully we'll be doing a lot more of these throughout the year to talk about hopefully issues that are more common to our local business scene. But I wanted to bring the two of you on today because since the last time we've talked, there's been some more federal money available, COVID-19 related to help businesses, some on the state level, some on the national level. Congress passed a new bill that will help both individuals and businesses. And I guess what I want to bring you along to see if we can get a little bit of a handle on how it's going to impact our local businesses this year. So, Rick, let me start with you, and let's talk about the state first.
Sure.
Governor Baker talked about a while back over $600 million available for local businesses. What is this about, and how can local businesses take part?
Well, local businesses can take part actually by applying through the Mass Growth Capital website. So if they go to the Mass Growth Capital Corporation website, or just type in Mass Growth Capital, it'll come up, and they can go through that. And that is for businesses that have existed prior to 2020. So you have to actually have been in business during 2019 and have some track record. But then there are some grants that are available. These are not loans; they're grants that are available through Mass Growth Capital. So this is something that's actually really exciting for small businesses if they can navigate the process, which is now available on the website. We recommend that they do so because small business needs that support now.
And what is, Rick, what is the situation in terms, you talked about how businesses have to have been in business, if you will, in 2019,
yes,
prior to the pandemic. Are there any specific targeted industries that are going to be able to benefit from this? Obviously, yes. You talked about a lot about retail and restaurants. So is it really targeted, or can any small business take part?
It's actually targeted, but I think any small business can apply. But part of that target in terms of their priorities involves things like hotels, restaurants, event companies, all of those companies that were actually either shut down or nearly shut down as a direct result of the pandemic. So they've worked hard on trying to isolate those companies, gyms that have been so affected by it. There's a complete list on the website of what their priorities are. And I recommend any small business go in, take a look through that, and see how they apply.
And I'm sure there'll also be some information as well as to the limits of how much money that people can actually
Correct.
Get from this program as well. So,
Correct.
And that'll probably be determined by the industry as well, right?
It will indeed. It will indeed.
Yeah.
But at this point, any help is good help.
Right, absolutely. And Michael, I was speaking with Rick beforehand about what the federal government passed about a week and a half ago, I guess now, concerning there's going to be some more money for individuals in terms of $600 individually. Mm-hmm. There's going to be some more unemployment help, and I know it's sort of unclear about what businesses will get. Do you know of what businesses may get from the new federal bill that was passed?
I don't have my arms around all of them completely, but the one category of business that I'm excited about, and the chamber's been doing a lot of work in this category, is with live venues like the Narrows in the arts and culture field. They have been decimated. Those types of businesses have been absolutely decimated. all throughout the pandemic. And finally, there's some federal dollars that are coming their way, specifically geared towards them. So we're very excited about that. It's an important part of the business. It's an important part of the world. And, if they don't if something didn't happen in that category of business, there'd be a real serious long-term effects that would even lead somewhere down to cause mental health problems, I'm sure. Yeah. So I'm really excited to hear that that the new stimulus package includes money specifically for live venues like the Narrows and like the Zeiterion Theater and others.
Yeah. And Keith, I think one of the other things that's going to be important about this one is that for many of those companies, there are some companies that actually did okay during the pandemic, and I think there's going to be some means testing attached to these new dollars. These rules are still being promulgated now, so we don't have all of the information yet. When we do, we're going to have another SBA webinar through the chamber, which anyone can attend, but it's just to give them an opportunity about applying for these new dollars. Right. I know that they'll be able to. One of the things that they're going to be looking at is whether or not the company suffered to the extent like 25% threshold, 25% losses of what they were expected to make. So I think that's one of those things that'll actually make it targeted towards those companies that need it most.
And I know that, in the bill, we talked about there's going to be more stimulus money for individuals and families, and they're going to be extending unemployment and giving an extra $300 a week. I know, Mike, we've talked about this in the past, how some employers were hesitant about that factor in terms of, some of their employees opting to maybe making more money with unemployment insurance. Is that still the case? Are you still hearing some of those grumblings from some local businesses?
Everybody's concerned about that, but I think now that the amount of money is less, the amount of extra money is less, and it's also a situation where people have realized that the government that extra money is not going to be there all forever. It's not going to be there all the time. Just like the $600 went away back in July, so people I think they're less apt to tell an employer, "Oh, wait 6 more months for me. Hold my job for 6 months. I'll come back after the extra money is gone." We're not hearing it quite as much, but there are some that are still concerned.
I want to go back a little bit to the recent holiday season, which just passed. We've talked many times about the impact of the holiday season on local retail, local businesses. Rick, are you getting a sense on how our local businesses in our South Coast region fared over the past month or so?
I think, Keith, to be perfectly honest with you, it was very uneven. Some local retailers did pretty well. They obviously had quite a few restrictions and limitations placed on them in terms of numbers of people who could be in their stores, particularly some of these smaller operations. But others have gotten quite creative, and they created an online presence. They created a gift card presence. And for a lot of those folks, they ended up doing okay. Clearly, our goal was to have people shop local as much as possible, but we also recognize that because of the pandemic, people did a lot of online ordering. And you can't blame people for having made that choice. That being said, our small businesses still need that support, which is why we put together our coupon book for folks to get to support those small businesses.
Can we, Mike, I'll ask you this first. I'll have you both answer. I'll ask you, Michael, first. In terms of, any kind of crystal ball, we like to make New Year's resolutions and talk about the new year ahead. What are you thinking in terms of, we all know that the vaccine's going to be coming for most or all of us sooner, hopefully, rather than later. What's your crystal ball in terms of when you think we may see our local businesses sort of return to some sort of normalcy?
Well, depending on what level you call normalcy, because the vaccine's going to help. It's not going to help it's not going to be a miracle worker, but it's going to help. But part of the real challenge is going to be that once people have the vaccine and there's much more vaccine distribution out there, bigger challenge is going to be it's just going to be the emotional state of people. Are they, even though they want to get out there, are they going to be willing to get out there? Are they going to be concerned about getting out there and gathering and going in more and more stores, and just in general gathering in gatherings of 50, 100 people? I don't think that that's going to be back to normal it might not be till actually a year from now. I don't want to sound like, a pessimist, but I just think realistically it's going to take a while for people to get back to normal.
Yeah. Rick, do you agree?
I agree. Nobody living has ever seen anything quite like this before. So we can kind of chalk 2020 up to the biggest dumpster fire in history. But the reality for all of us going forward is that there are going to be early adopters about getting out, and there are going to be those who are going to be reticent about getting out. When we look, for example, at our own budget, we created our own budget as if there will be no in-person events other than our golf tournament next year. We're hopeful that's not going to be the case, but we also have to gauge what people's appetite to be out is going to be. And one of the things that we can see now is that with the vaccine on the horizon, that sets us up as a culture, I think, to begin to look at life less fearfully. So my fingers are crossed. I'm doing a lot of knocking on wood, but we know that the dumpster fire that was 2020 is not going to be repeated in 2021.
Yeah, I know. We were actually, I was actually talking with some of my staff members this morning, and we were talking about how, because we've been remote since March, as many of you have as well, and that, we're thinking that even if we are back in our studios at Bristol Community College, we still think that at least those early months, yeah, we may be back, but we'll probably still be wearing our masks as well, because we just don't know what the effects will be and whether the transmission rate, what that will be. So that'll probably be something that'll be, as they say, better safe than sorry. But we'll have to wait and see. And that's what we look forward to in 2021. All right, Rick Kidder and Michael O'Sullivan, One SouthCoast Chamber co-CEOs, thank you for joining me once again. We'll talk again soon, I'm sure.
Thank you, Keith.
Thanks, Keith.
All right. And thank you for joining us today here on FRC Media. Have a great rest of your day.